and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll second.
Motion by Rox, second by Dale. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the agenda as presented?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sorry. Doing too many things. No? All right, motion carries. Open forum. I believe we moved the students of the month
They'll be
to
in
next
April.
month.
Our principal didn't make it home, and so everything's been moved to April.
Okay. And then public open forum. I'm going to start with Jeff Hardwick. Digital health and well-being.
Just 2 seconds. I'm sorry, Chair. We are going to start with the 3-minute open forums first. The people that signed up.
Okay, sure. All right. First on the list, Brittany Aldine. If you want to come up. Just, yeah. Is the mic on?
That's okay.
No, I don't think, and you know, just so everybody knows, there's about 3 minutes to talk. We usually don't do a back and forth. We, if there's any questions.
Is it okay if it goes any longer? Does it have to be around 3?
We'd like it to be around 3. We have a lot to do.
I saw that. Okay. I'll try and keep it as short as I can.
Thank you.
All right. I just like to say good evening, Board of Education members and administration. My name is Brittany Aldine, and I'm a current first grade teacher, as well as a concerned parent of a kindergarten student that will be entering into first grade next school year. I want to begin by thanking you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here because I care deeply about our students, our teachers, and the future of our school. I want to speak about the proposal to reduce first grade sections and why this decision could have serious consequences for our youngest learners. First grade is not just another grade level. It's the year when the foundation for a child's entire education is built. This is the year when students truly learn how to read, how to write, and how to think independently. These are not just milestones, they're life-changing ones. When a child learns to read confidently in first grade, it opens the door for every other subject they will ever learn. But learning these skills does not happen automatically. It happens because teachers have the time, the space, and the ability to work closely with each individual child. A typical day in first grade classroom is filled with constant instruction, guidance, and support. First grade teachers are not simply delivering lessons from a textbook. We are working moment by moment to meet the needs of every student in the room. I think what people sometimes forget is that first graders are still very young kids. Many of them come to school still learning the most basic life and social skills. They're learning how to be students, all while also learning how to be independent human beings. Every single day, we're doing things such as teaching students how to read through phonics instruction, phonemic awareness, small reading groups, and comprehension lessons, teaching writing from forming letters and spelling words, teaching foundational math concepts like number sense, addition, subtraction, and the list goes on. But alongside academics, we are also constantly working on the social and emotional development that many 6 and 7-year-olds are still learning. Every day, we have to teach them how to follow directions, take turns and share materials, work cooperatively with classmates, handle frustration when something gets difficult, stay focused on tasks, use kind words and resolve conflicts with peers, ask for help appropriately, and regulate their emotions when they feel overwhelmed. And beyond even those skills, we are also helping students develop basic independence that they just don't have. Organizing their belongings, packing and unpacking backpacks, tying shoes and managing clothing, cleaning up work area, remembering materials, transitioning, sitting for instruction time, and participating appropriately. All with those everyday realities, students come tired, frustrated, distracted, anxious, and are simply still learning how to behave in a group setting. Now imagine doing this with even more. Reducing sections means larger class sizes. Larger class sizes means less time with each child. It means fewer opportunities for small group reading instruction. It means struggling students may not get the early support they need, and it means teachers must divide their attention among more children during the most critical learning in their lives. First graders are not middle schoolers. They cannot simply sit quietly and work independently for long stretches of time. They need guidance, they need feedback, they need encouragement, and most importantly, they need teachers who have the time to truly work with them. When we increase class sizes, we are not just adjusting numbers on a spreadsheet. We are changing the learning experience for every child in the classroom. Research consistently shows that smaller class sizes in early grades lead to stronger literacy skills, better academic outcomes, and greater long-term success. When we invest in early learning, we prevent bigger academic struggles later. Our first graders deserve the best possible start to their education. They deserve classrooms where teachers can sit beside them, listen to them read, guide their writing, and help them grow into confident learners. Reducing first grade section risks taking away that very support that makes this growth possible. Our first graders deserve classrooms where teachers have the time and capacity to truly support them, not only academically, but socially and emotionally as well. Today, I ask you to look and consider the real children's room. Consider the teachers who are working tirelessly every day to help them succeed, and consider the long-term impact of decisions we make now. Our youngest learners cannot advocate for themselves. That is why we must, and that's why I'm here tonight. Please reconsider the decision to reduce first grade sections and continue supporting the strong foundation that our students need and deserve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Jana Reff.
A little vertically challenged here, guys. Sorry about that. Bonjour, members of the ISD 361 School Board. We, the members of the American Indian Parent Committee of Independent School District 361, are presenting today to issue a resolution of non-concurrence in the school board to the school board members of the district. After a review of the educational plan for the 2025-26 academic school year, the committee voted that the district is in non-compliance when it comes to the educational offerings and support the district is offering to our American Indian and First Nation students. We do not feel like the needs of our students are being met. Areas of concern are the lack of an Indian education position at the elementary school has not allowed for the full servicing of our Native students at Falls Elementary School. This program is increasing in size, has made it difficult to properly service students. A designated room at Falls Elementary is not being provided for American Indian First Nation students, currently given a desk, a chair in the school library, and a space and a table and chairs in the upstairs hallway. Staff are not always available at one or both buildings, Falls High School and Falls Elementary School. Due to staff schedules, there are times that the FHS students do not have access to or support from program staff. Ojibwe language is not being offered as part of the specialty rotation at Falls Elementary School. A lack of follow-through when it comes to communication from administration, principal, and the superintendent at Falls High School. Areas of improvement are the graduation rate for American Indian students has been 100% for 2023, 24, and 25. All 11 seniors for 2026 are on track to graduate. A proper student identification and paperwork, the Indian education staff has almost doubled in the number of American Indian First Nation students from the 2024 to 25 school year to this year. The Anishinaabe language, history, and culture teaching position and the Indian education director position are both full-time. The Indian education director is seeing students at Falls Elementary throughout the week, but schedules do not allow all students to be seen. Our recommendations are at Falls Elementary School should have a full-time staff member for the Indian Education Department to allow for cultural, academic, and social emotional support. A designated room should be available when staffed at Falls Elementary. Maintain 2 rooms at Falls High School, language, history, and culture classroom, and resource room across the hall. The Ojibwe language should be offered at Falls Elementary as part of the specialty rotation, just like Spanish is. Indian education staff should not be pulled and assigned to duties that don't directly involve American Indian First Nation students. American Indian First Nations should have the choice of taking standardized tests, the MCA or FastBridge, in one of the Indian education rooms at Falls High School or Falls Elementary School. We urge the school board and administration to consider what we have brought to you today and to make sure our American Indian First Nation students receive the level of support needed for them to succeed. While there has been great improvement recently with the turnover of staff, there's a lot that needs to be done for this program to function as it should. For too long, this district has misunderstood and misrepresented the importance of the Indian education program and the level of needs for its students. The program staff needs support from all of you for the program to be as successful as we know it can be. Miigwech. Thank you.
Thank you.
The ISD 361 Indian Education Parent Committee.
Thank you. Next, we have Sasha Moss.
Joanne, that needs to be signed.
I apologize for lack of printed remarks. My printer had a moment, so we're gonna have to flag line here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, my name is Sasha Moss. Everybody who's here, both members of the community and members of the board. I'm here in 2 capacities, both in my capacity as an elementary teacher, I teach 4th grade, and also as a parent of a 3rd grade student. I've taught 4th grade for 6 years. I always say it's a unicorn grade. The growth in 4th grade is exponential. They come to me as babies, and they leave ready. That said, I have 21 students on the roster this year. On any given day, I am helping a kid breathe through an anxiety attack. I'm helping a student learn how to form the letter P, hand over hand, because they were COVID preschoolers, and they didn't get that. I'm teaching punctuation to kids who don't understand what a comma is, what a period is, and I can do those things because I have the time and space to do it. My daughter was a student who in 5th grade, we moved to 2 sections for 5th grade. She started out at 27. We gained students, which is wonderful. We always want to do that. Her class of 27 became a class of 29. And my kid was lost. And that's my fear. Both as a teacher on this end, I can't do what I need to do. I can't help them bloom if I don't have the time with each one. And I won't. Not at 26 or 27. I understand that the numbers are incredibly difficult. I know that that is a hard call. But I can tell you right now that as a mom, I have some serious concerns that my very quiet, shy 3rd grader is going to get lost in a class that big because the needs of other kids are going to be so big, and they are so big, that his will fall to the wayside. And my concern is that other parents in our district will have those same fears. There are other options available for them. They don't have to stay in a big class. It's also that much more difficult to recruit new students when you let them know that they become a part of a class of 27 instead of a part of a class of 19 or 20. I know that it looks like numbers on the spreadsheet. It looks possible. You say, we'll put another person in there, but in reality, it just doesn't work that way. I know the numbers are difficult, but if there is a way to reconsider, to table this, to think about it, I do ask you to think about that if possible. So, thank you.
Thank you. Right. Moving from open forum. Are we ready for Jeff Hardwig?
While they're getting me set up, I'll introduce myself. By the way, I cut back this by quite a bit. I saw your agenda and ouch, that's a long agenda. But the reason I'm talking about the education on mental health impacts of screen-based media has everything to do with the fact that I'm a retired psychiatrist. I spent my career here. The past 10 years, I've been part of a literacy promotion program called Love of Reading Early, LORE. And we've partnered with other elements of the community, the school, the clinics, and so forth. And using evidence-based methods, we've been promoting early childhood literacy. In the past year, I've been concerned about early screen time and social media, children's their mental health. And so here we go. I will try to go fast on things that have less relevance to the school. So next one. Children are acquiring screens at a younger age. You can see there by age 2, 40% have a tablet. Age 4, 58%, and 8-year-olds have a cell phone. That shouldn't be. Next one, children age 8 and younger spend 2.5 hours on screen media. Kids under 2 should have 0 hours. 2 to 4, actually the American Academy of Pediatrics says 1 hour for kids 2 to 5. Children, it's actually worse with kids from lower income. They're twice as much time they're spending on screens. The next one, the fovea centralis, back of the eye, the area with the greatest focus, that's not really well developed until age 4, so it really doesn't make sense to put a tablet in front of a child. On the other hand, if you do put a tablet in front of the child, that child will definitely get attracted by it. The brain of a child is hardwired to be distracted by movement, even in the periphery. That's why leaving screens on, televisions on in the room is a bad idea if you have a small child. They will look at it instead of doing other things that a child should be doing, like looking at a face, like their mother's face. So why aren't parents following the guidelines? Number one, they may not know what the guidelines are. And when they do know, because there's been studies on this, when they do know the guidelines, they are twice as likely to follow the guidelines. The main reason that they're not following the guidelines is that they've been fed a bill of goods that these apps are educational because they come from the educational app, division of whatever company is selling it. But in most cases, they're not proven to be of benefit. Kids need outdoors, need to interact with other kids and to play. This is from the Common Sense survey done in 2024, published 2025. Parents are concerned. They are concerned that there's too much screen time. They see an impact on the children's attention span, and they don't like the content, and they're worried about their children's mental health as a result. Although 86% say they have rules about phone use in the house, only as little as 19% actually enforce those rules. The next slide, I'm showing this because I wanted to talk to you about white matter, about myelination, things like that. It takes a little bit of vocabulary. So this is a stylized neuron. Every neuron sends out an axon to connect with other parts of the nervous system and receives connections from, on average, 1,000 other brain neurons. So it makes these connections, and if that neuron is repeatedly used for something, it gets myelinated. And this myelin shows up as white matter on MRIs, shows up as white matter. Next slide. So starting at birth, these synapses, these connections, are just furiously wiring together. 1 to 2 million synapses per second are happening. That's why a child, a 2-year-old, that's when this peaks, can learn just by being in the room where language is being used. And the more you talk to them, the more you can read to them, they're really downloading all of that information. What's happening is that circuits are forming in the brain. There's no single center in the brain that automatically develops. Reading develops because different parts of the brain, vision, language, attention, they get wired together through being read to and then later reading. So I've explained some of this. So a track that gets used, that gets myelinated. Myelination makes the track go faster, makes that a preferred track. Starting at age 2, another process starts. So first of all, you have all this connection being made. And if that track, and then it gets strengthened if it's used. If it's not used, it gets pruned. It goes away eventually. Not immediately, but over time, that track just goes away. This Victor Averon, it's a story of a feral child who was discovered in a cave crawling on all fours, never exposed to language. They tried for 5 years and couldn't teach him to speak. So those doors do slam shut. This is not new knowledge. Look at the data on that. The single most important activity for building knowledge for eventual success in reading is reading aloud to children. 1985. It's not new information. That was the basis for the Love of Reading Early program that we developed. So we have choices, and this is a brand new choice, modern society choice. Before the choice was read to your kid or don't, but now it's read to your kid or put a screen in front of them because you're being told that that's good for them. So they're both happening in the critical period, but those two things, screen in front of a small child or reading to the child, produce exactly opposite results on the brain. So families that read a lot to their kids, those kids have greater white matter integrity, connecting the parts of the brain involved in reading. Kids that have more than the recommended amount of screen time, exposure to screen media, have just the opposite. They have much less organization in the parts of the brain that are involved with reading. So tweens and teens, 8 to 12 for tweens, 15 to 18 or 13 to 18 for teens. I'm showing, there's a couple of things on this slide. This is 2015. The middle one is 2019. The top one's 2021. And it's cell phone ownership by age. The American Academy of Pediatrics says, wait if you can till 14. 13 is what, they're not supposed to have a cell phone before 13. 12-year-olds, 71%, they have them already. 8-year-olds, 31% have cell phones. So this concept here comes from Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation, which I recommend if you haven't read it. So he lists here a change from a play-based childhood in all of the history of humankind to a phone-based childhood, which is a fairly recent phenomenon. Generation Z is a generation that grew up with digital media from the start. So all the social media outfits have a like button or a Twitter button. It allows a post to go viral. It incentivizes the users to craft posts for maximum spread. And they have algorithms. And you know what spreads the best? Anger and disgust. What's it like living in America these days? All this anger and disgust gets favored. And it's not good for us. It's not good for me. It's not good for children. And then when they developed the push notifications and the front-facing camera selfies, they had all the ingredients for social media. And he refers to this as the great rewiring. Started in 2010, it's complete by 2015. Children, in his view, he's written 2 books that include this idea. There's been an overprotection in the real world, but a real underprotection in the virtual world about what harms can happen. In part because they didn't know at first, but they know now. Tech executives in Silicon Valley and don't send to any school that has phones. There's a reason for that. So that thing. So 2010 to 2015, if you look at the literature on that it occurs, most of the changes in 2015, I'll show you some examples. So the cost, if you're spending 4 hours a day on something, you're not playing outside, you're not climbing trees, you're not hanging out with friends, not doing those things that are normal at that age. Social deprivation, sleep deprivation, attention fragmentation, and addiction to the phone. So sleep deprivation, you can see this gray bar is 2010 to 2015. There was an uptick in the percent of kids, girls and boys, who get less than 7 hours of sleep, and that can affect school. Attention fragmentation, that's a huge one. In class, you stand in this school, you can't have the phones out in class. It's against the rules. But there's no rule against having it in your pocket, vibrating at you when there's a message. And that grabs your attention. Social media contacts and other apps they might have. By the way, there's 4 million apps available between the App Store and Google Play. 192 interruptions per day, 1 every 5 minutes. But for older teenage girls who are heavy users of social media, it's 1 interruption a minute. How can you pay attention to the teacher? And the mere presence of having a phone affects thinking. They did a study with college students where they had them do a mental task, a math problem, while trying to remember a string of letters. And the phones in this study, they were either in another room, on the desk in front of them, or in a purse or bag. And you guessed it, the best performance is if that phone was in the other room. Just having it there, their mind is distracted. Phombies. So this is a much more serious aspect of distracted attention. 76,000 emergency department visits in the past 20 years related to distracted cell phone users, walking into things, tripping, and so forth. 2018, the National Safety Council, 6,000 annual pedestrian phone-related deaths. And 2020, Governor's Highway Safety Association, only 22% of pedestrians struck as they stepped off the curb had even bothered to look for oncoming traffic. This is the title of a book, Hooked, How to Build Habit-Forming Products, a book by Nur Ayal, 2014. Really? Think of books on how to build bombs and things like that. It goes on that shelf. Addiction. The guy who wrote this learned from how slot machines keep people playing. They give them intermittent rewards, and it keeps them playing. It doesn't have to be every time a jackpot. This is how social media works. You get a ping, requires an action. You have to click on it, open that up. It might be a reward. Not every time, sometimes. That incentivizes you to invest more, post more. And then you don't have to have a ping that makes you check your phone. Your mind makes you check your phone because you want to see, did they like my post? Did they like my picture? Social media and mental health. Girls have a greater evolutionary drive for communion than boys. Relationships matter to girls. They matter to boys too, but it's really evolutionarily really important to girls to get along, to be liked, to fit in, to not get kicked out of the community. They're more drawn to social media and more vulnerable to its harms. Boys, to some degree, they have that, but they have a stronger evolutionary drive for agency, like developing strength and competency in the real world. They do more gaming. The pathways affecting mental health. This is a big one. The image has the strongest effect on mental health. Much greater on girls. It causes anxiety and depression. They compare themselves with others, and there's this unrealistic expectation. They see these impossibly beautiful people, and they compare themselves. And here's an example. This is the real face. The rest are fakes. And even when girls see that, even when they see, she doesn't look like that, they still end up feeling bad about their own appearance. Pathways affecting mental health, cyberbullying. This is made possible because you can be anonymous online. You don't have to say who you are. You can do bad things and nobody knows it's you. And now there is the existence of deep fake nudes that anyone can make. And that's particularly toxic. Teens have opinions, though, about how the rest of us are doing. 66% say parents are doing at least a good job. They think 40% of teachers are doing a good job. Law enforcement, 37%, and elected officials, only 18%. They have a chance to do better. There's some pending legislation on trying to hold social media companies to account for identifying age. Social isolation. This is somewhat paradoxical. Every hour they spend on social media is time not spent with friends. Causes loneliness and isolation. It's paradoxical as that makes them more likely to go back to social media. You can see here, this top line, there we are, that 2010 to 2015, the drop off in time spent with friends from 130 minutes a day to just over 40 minutes a day. That's a huge drop in time with friends. Fear of missing out. This is one of the biggest barriers to students taking breaks from their phones. Video games. The story about boys is a little different than the story about girls. There are some benefits from all the hand-to-eye stuff that's going on with gaming, but if they spend too much time gaming, that does start to cause some opportunity costs. And these harms are more common in boys than girls. Gaming addiction, pornography went from 11% of boys using pornography daily in 2004 to 24% of boys using pornography daily. And it's so easy on a phone. If they take the phone into their bedroom or any locked room, you don't have to guess what's happening. This failure to launch in Japan, it's called hikikomori. It's a sort of the worst manifestation of this. The young adults in their rooms, gaming, not working, just gaming. So there's a holistic approach is really needed, because even if the school, and I think you can create an oasis in the school where they're protected from some of the worst aspects of social media and interruptions, so they can pay attention to their teacher. And then the thing is, that doesn't change what they do with their phones outside of school. So we need sort of a cooperative venture going on that involves everyone who's got a hand in this. The other thing is that one of the pushbacks when you read the literature is that some say that it should be a school subject, digital competency, taught in classes, using phones as part of a curriculum. So we really need parents, teachers, students, elected officials, healthcare providers, etc. So we had some ideas. I'm not going to go over these in detail, I'll just name them. Waiting until 8th grade for a cell phone, starting in the elementary school. Good idea. Live more, screen less. Evidence-based digital literacy. Away for a day, just sort of testing the water. What's it like to not have your phone for a day? There's actually, before you go on, this was done in Austria, and the idea spread to Italy and Germany. Kids voluntarily gave up their phones for 3 weeks, and the outcomes were really positive. They felt much, much better. There is a handout that we have on how a school, rather than waiting for the deep fake to happen, have a policy in place. We have a handout. By the way, all of the literature that like 5 literature searches, all the copies of those articles, Linnea has them in her office. If anyone wants to go back to the source. We have an ask. We're asking the board that you support our work groups' continued effort to educate the community. We've talked to teachers already. We'll talk to students. We want to have a community information for the community, sharing some of what was covered today. There's a whole bunch of slides I have at the end. I deleted. I expect for your agenda. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Josh for summer facilities use. Or Leif.
Or late, it works.
Yeah, go
Good evening, members of the school board and administration. Thank you for allowing the time. My name is Leif Larson. I represent the International Falls Recreation Hockey Association. I'm joined today in the back, Kim O'Laughlin and Jamie Conat, members of the Falls Figure Skating Association. And Coach Chad Baldwin represents the hockey program. He intended to be here this evening. However, he was caught in a snowstorm yesterday along with Josh Glasshawkis. So they were driving back from Faribault today. So they were unable to be with us this evening. So I'll try to be brief here, but the 3 organizations put together kind of a joint statement to address the summer ice at Bronco Arena. So I'd like to read that for you. And then following that, I do have a proposal to share with all of you as well. So we're here today because we have significant concerns regarding the cost of ice for summer skating, which has recently doubled. 2 years ago, the cost of summer ice increased from no charge to $70 per hour. While that change was unexpected, we understood the need and felt the rate was reasonable. However, this past winter, the cost was increased again, doubling in price without prior communication to the individual organizations that rely on this ice time. This sudden increase has created serious concern among our groups as it places considerable financial strain on our summer skating programs. As a result, we would be forced to raise participation fees, which could make it more difficult for many families in our community to afford these opportunities for their children. We understood that operating and maintaining the arena comes with real costs, and we respect the school's responsibility to manage those expenses. However, at the same time, youth hockey and figure skating programs operate on very tight budgets and rely heavily on volunteers and community support. Significant increases in ice costs directly impact our ability to offer affordable programs and maintain strong participation in youth ice sports. Summer ice programs play a critical role in the development of our athletes and in the continued success of the Bronco athletic programs. Without access to summer hockey opportunities, our athletes risk falling behind their peers in other communities across Minnesota where year-round development has become the norm. These programs are an important part of helping young athletes continue to grow, improve their skills, and stay competitive. Just as importantly, summer ice programs provide a safe, structured, and positive environment for our youth during the summer months. They keep kids active, engaged, and connected to positive role models while encouraging healthy habits, teamwork, and personal discipline. Programs like these strengthen not only our athletes, but also our community by giving young people constructive opportunities to learn, grow, and succeed. Maintaining this increased rate creates a real risk that some of our summer programs may be reduced or even eliminated, which would be detrimental to many kids and families in our community. These programs are about much more than just sports. They build healthier, safer communities by giving young people a positive place to spend their time, develop friendships, and grow both on and off the ice. We understand the board's decision to increase the hourly cost of ice to $140, which is double last year's rate. And we were asked to present our ideal request for summer ice time at Bronco Arena. So with that, on behalf of the International Falls Figure Skating Club, recreational hockey, and the Bronco Boys Hockey Program, we would like to respectfully present our expectations and recommendations regarding summer ice, including what we believe would be a more reasonable and sustainable hourly ice time rate. So basically what we are asking for, and I printed off some handouts here I'll pass around to all the school board members, but just for the sake of those in the audience, what we're asking for is ice time from July 13th through the end of the month of July at basically $100 per hour. So we're kind of asking us to kind of meet us in the middle, so to speak. So that is all that I have to present this evening. I will pass out, so you have something on paper here to look at and discuss as a board. You want to just pass those around? Yes, I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lace.
Thank you. All right, next, Brian and Tim.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, we need to go, that's right.
Thank you.
So I'm here this evening to discuss co-ops for our sporting programs. I know that over the past few years, this has been a discussion that we've had at the administrative level. We've also discussed it at the school board level. And so we're kind of looking for a policy that we move forward so that we understand who and where we're going to be going with that. So currently we have co-ops with Rainy River for girls hockey, and we also have a co-op with Cornerstone for the following sports: football, boys and girls basketball, girls volleyball, boys hockey, boys and girls cross country, softball, and boys and girls track and field. As I mentioned, we have people right now who feel very strongly about having co-ops, and we have people who feel very strongly about co-ops are not something that we should have here at International Falls. So the positives that we kind of looked at, Brian and I, with the positives being that more athletes the more athletes you have to choose for the teams, varsity and JV, the better opportunities you have to compete against other schools in both the varsity and JV level. We are on the edge, I would say, of being able to put out a JV team for boys hockey, girls hockey, and also for football. The numbers are just very close, And so every kid can be very crucial. One or two can be the difference between being able to field a JV team at those levels and for other sports as well. But those three are the big ones that we're close to the number on being able to compete. Of course, the negatives of a co-op is those kids aren't members of the ISD 361, so we're not receiving funding for them. So there's a balance between finding money and being able to balance the costs of having a team or teams at those levels. Currently, we receive no money from the schools that we are co-oping with, Cornerstone or Rainy River. That possibly could change if that is something that the school board would like to consider moving forward. I was able to contact a few of the ADs on the Iron Range, and they pretty much all have the same way of addressing the funding issue with their schools. So if you're co-oping and you're the smaller school, I'll use that, and the whole school has all the benefit or has all the costs during the year, they usually will take and find a fraction of the cost of the entire season. So for example, our girls hockey team this year had 25 girls on the team. 2 of those girls came from Rainy River. So in that light, Rainy River could, in the new proposal, a new thought, absorb 8% of the cost, because 2 out of 25 is 8%. It would be 8% of the cost to run the girls hockey program. And so at the end of the girls hockey season, we would send Rainy River School District a bill for X number of dollars, or whoever that might be with, whether it was with Cornerstone or with whoever the schools are that are interested. We would want to obviously make sure Rainy River and Cornerstone, as we have co-ops with them, to make them aware and have them be able to address you as well with these things. This wouldn't be something we would want to spring on them. But as I shared with the athletic committee a while back, the sheet of paper that I shared with you, basically about 85% of our teams that we play for girls hockey are co-opted, and very large co-ops. The first one on the sheet that I gave you, Northern Lakes, Pequot Lakes, Crosby Arrington, Pine River Bacchus, Walker Hackensack, Akeley, Aiken, McGregor. That's 6 schools that are combined together to make one girls hockey team, and the list goes on. And I have 12 listed on the sheet that I gave to the school board members. Obviously, some have a few less, but you're talking about the city of Duluth, one girls hockey team. Okay, Proctor and Hermantown, who we don't play, combined together. Amongst others, obviously, and I've had those listed there. So what we're looking for is a way to be maybe on a more level playing field with some of these schools, the Detroit Lakes of the world. I'll use those. That's the second one I have listed on there. They're in our section. They have many teams. Crookston, Thief River Falls also combined together. We have 2 schools currently, Lake of the Woods and Little Fork Big Falls, that are looking to join us, hopefully in girls hockey as a co-op. And so what I'm asking, I think what Brian is asking for tonight, is to you guys to start to consider, and not obviously to make a decision tonight, but something to consider as we go into April and May about where we are with co-ops, how we are going to do that with the schools on our side of the border, I guess, for lack of a better term, and where we're going to go so that we have a policy for our schools. We'll see where that goes. Any questions? Brian, do you have anything to add?
I will just say this. I get to spend a lot of time with the High School Coaches Association, especially during the girls' state tournament. And so I get to meet with a lot of coaches, get to talk to a lot of members of the high school league. And this is not a issue that is new or unique by any means. I mean, you have towns and communities like Grand Rapids who co-op with Greenway for their girls hockey program. You have a number of Northern Metro schools down in cities that co-op. And currently right now, we are just, in a perfect world, yeah, we wouldn't have to co-op. But by co-oping, we're still not taking opportunities away from the players that the community has built to this point. But if the idea is to get competitive and to give everybody a fair shot, I think it's necessary. The other part of it is that you can look at the youth numbers, and like the AU girls only had 6 or 7 girls. So they ended up playing at a different level. And, you know, the 12U had 12 girls on their team. So it's not like we have big numbers. We need all the numbers we can get. And other schools from around the state make it work. However they go about that. But I do think it's something that we seriously need to consider, especially with Lake of the Woods and Little Fork. Little Fork having 2 girls that were on the U12 team this year, that if we don't, they may or may not come here for school. And if they don't, we'll lose those girls. And I know that Lake of the Woods U12 team had 12 players this year, and they essentially have nowhere to go at this point. Once they age out at U12, they're done. So if there's interest from both sides, I think it's definitely something that I would just ask that you think about and seriously consider moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So my daughter played Bronco hockey and great experiences with the girls from the co-op and are still friends. I know a lot of times the concern with co-oping is that it takes opportunities away from our kids. But I will say for the girls that are coming up for Little Fork, these kids have played together since they were little. So they're a team already. They want to continue to be a team. So I fully support the co-op with Lake of the Woods and Little Fork for girls hockey.
I'm just having Beth pull up just a quick presentation about Bronco Arena and some of the costs, because I was looking at, you know, okay, I know that our athletic committee went through and figured out, you know, costs and how to calculate rental costs and why they came up with that cost. But I just kind of wanted to go over it, and then I wanted to share so it's more clear to everybody what we're really looking at. No. It's right there at the top. Oh, you go click on the presentation right there. No. See the PowerPoint? Yeah, right there. Just click on that and it should, yeah, there we go. So I got financials, financial report from CISO and kind of just what the last year of expenses were for Bronco Arena. It's all right, you're good.
Just modifying the presentation.
Leave my house.
Okay, so this is kind of what, and I'm sure that that wasn't even including like March or some of the other things, but I just took what was there and said, okay, here's kind of what we have: utilities, supplies, fuel, repairs, payroll, all those things, and rolls up into total cost. So then the next slide, you'll see, so rental costs per hour for ice time during the year. So this is the whole entire year. If we take youth hockey figure skating, the rental cost would be $73 an hour, adult league, private rentals. Right now, youth hockey and figure skating get free ice during the winter season. So we're not charging anything for ice use. We're not charging for Zamboni. We're not charging for payroll, nothing, it's free. Same thing with tournaments. If there's a Pee Wee tournament or whatever tournament, we allow the ice at Bronco Arena to be used for free. Ice shows, we allow the arena to be used for free as well. So if we said rental cost per hour for ice time for the summer with our annual costs, you would be looking at a way higher rental rate per hour, like $2,000. If we just said, hey, we're gonna make you pay for whatever during that ice time for the summer, which is ridiculous, of course. So, but if we did rental costs for ice time for the summer costs, that these would be. So it would be youth hockey and figure skating would be about $330 an hour. That's what it costs us to run the arena during the summertime, where we're charging you $140. So we're not even close to breaking even. So next slide. So right now, basically the school eats the cost for the ice time in the winter program. This has been for many years, but where does that money come from? It comes out of the district's budget, which is why most schools don't own their own arena. This is why the city wants to get rid of the Cary Park Arena. They'll sell it to anybody for $1, whatever, because it's a losing game. It's expensive, it draws a lot of money, and so we have to make our budget work, and we have to make taxpayers' dollars work. We don't want to increase taxes because of the arena, but we want to make it for everybody. So we're trying to continue to do that. We could start charging school groups a rental rate throughout the entire year to cover our costs, or close the arena during the summer to save on costs, which are both things that we don't want to do, but they are options that we have. So instead of doing that, that's why we have chose to raise the rates to the cost that they're at. But I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit of background and some math and all of the things that we do try to do to support those programs. And if you have any questions. No. Oh, yes.
Just wanted to ask one question. Do you need all of the groups that would be requesting summer ice to commit to using Bronco Arena this summer to actually put ice in? Would it affect the cost of the summer ice if, say, only 2 of the 5 groups wanted summer ice?
Yeah, probably most likely. I mean, I guess we're assuming that everybody, is going to continue to use the ice this summer, but like, let's say if all the groups didn't and there was only one group that wanted to, we probably would not.
You have commitments from 2 groups that want summer ice.
Right, and if everybody else dropped out, it would have to be something that would probably have to go to the board for an additional discussion, but I mean, I couldn't see that being reasonable. Because it would cost us a lot of money just for, that small period of time. I know, it's bad, yes.
Here, I'll just, from the girls' hockey side of things, and I understand completely where rec hockey and figure skating, where their concern comes from. But I will tell you this, coming from where I used to coach down in Cloquet, where I grew up in Proctor, we're talking 10, 15 years ago, ice time rental in the summer back then was $120. And that was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So to me, when I look at it, and when I was told what the cost was, I didn't really think 140 was unreasonable. Now, I didn't know what the cost of the rental was prior to this year. I've never had a decent to know that, so I understand their concern. But we would be doing a grave injustice by not having the ice available to the programs in the summer. I would just say that. I mean, for us, for the girls program this year, we're actually going to have structured practices in the summer because the state high school league allows us to do that. And we're also playing in a summer festival in Grand Rapids. So that's a first for this program in its entirety, as far as I can find. And without having that ice time, we're gonna look real bad going to Grand Rapids. I mean, I know that's funny, but I mean, it's the truth, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't get on the
yeah.
ice.
It's in February.
Right.
Yeah.
if we don't get on the ice, before we get to Grand Rapids, and we're not talking about, these are summer scrimmages, yes, I know they don't mean a whole lot, but we're talking about schools like Bemidji, Edina, Bill Murray, Duluth, Grand Rapids, that are all going to be there, and that we have to get on the ice with and skate with, and they are all skating 10, 11 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And so from a girl's standpoint on the, we'll make it work. We're gonna practice for those 3 weeks. Whether we have to pay for the ice or not, I don't know if that's actually been decided, but we're gonna make it work on our end. We have to. And that's another way that our program is going to get better and we're going to get more competitive is by changing that culture and getting the girls on the ice in the summertime for structured practice and being able to go play some of the best competition that we possibly can. So I would just say from the girls' side, whatever is decided on the ice time price, please make sure that we have the ice available to us.
And I think anybody on this board wants to not.
No, that's the thing is it's very hard to, look at, like I said, the facts, the data, the costs of things, and we would love to have the ice and we'd love to have it for free for everybody, but in reality, that's not a possibility. So we're trying to make things work for everybody and trying to, not take a huge loss on having the arena open in the summertime either. But we understand, and we understand the importance of those programs, and we want them to be in the arena.
Yeah, we have to be fiscally responsible, but we also are doing everything we can to make it good for everyone.
And it's hard. It's not, and times are tough.
Well, it's aging facilities. I mean, it's how many times did the compressor go down last year? 3 times?
3 times.
And it's about $6,000 every time it goes down, and that's coming right out of our budget.
And of course, July is the hottest time. Yeah. And so that means that our compressors have to work a lot more and it puts more strain on the equipment and,
that's when we have problems.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. Yeah, but we understand. So we're just trying to, I just wanted to look at, I need to have data and see the numbers and understand where it comes from and why. And I just wanted to share that with everybody else so that everybody's on the same page. That we're not just trying to hey, we're upping it because we're going to make a bunch of money.
Yeah, we're certainly not making
money. No.
Right, no. We're not breaking even yet.
So, all right.
So, Chair Smith, one of the things I want to just say this evening is first, thank you to everybody who spoke and presented tonight. I'll be speaking a little bit more to the budget later. If there is anybody who presented tonight that would like to see something on a future agenda, what you would need to do is to send an email or written letter to the chair, excuse me, and myself, and we will put that on a future agenda. But the topics that were in presentation form tonight will be added to our future work session and or to one of our subgroups. For example, we have a legislative committee, we have an athletics committee. So know that the presentations that were presented tonight will be further discussed, but if it is something you would actually like to see on a future agenda, there does need to be a written statement to the chair and the superintendent.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to committee and administrative reports. We don't have a student rep today.
Let's see, I've got Molly's presentation.
Okay.
Is she next or is Lisa?
Missy's first.
Okay, so Miss Tate is stuck because of weather,
Yes.
so she'll give a full report next month.
Okay, so go ahead.
I'll keep it short.
They're all saying that.
I scratched her a lot. Thank you. I just want to comment on a celebration that we had recently. We had our family engagement night on March 4th. It was also our parent-teacher conference night. It was a night where specific conferences were scheduled. We also had a number of drop-in conferences scheduled, but we held a book fair, a STEAM night. For those of you who are not familiar with STEAM, it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. So we had a lot of activities going on in our cafeteria. And that was all hosted by our teachers. We had community partners come in. We had Voyageurs National Park, International Falls Police Department, the DNR, the public library, and our Indian education group that came in and had tables set up for families to engage with. And we had ice cream and toppings donated by Super One. They are so generous to us. And our drama club hosted a successful taco and a bag night. As they're getting off the ground, they sold out of all their tacos. So we just had a really fun night. Just talking to community, families, kids, celebrating learning. We also had our kindergarten registration that night. So we had a full house. Now, keep in mind, we have construction going on, so it's a little messy around, but it was really fun for everybody to come and see what was happening as well. We had a great turnout for our kindergarten registration. We had fresh baked cookies made by our own head cook, Angie Hoopman. We had a free book for every child. And we have 50 students registered so far, which it's really early right now for kindergarten registration. We will be going through the census and reaching out to families that could be potential students and just checking to see if, you know, they need information on registration and what their plans are. So we'll work on that. We are preparing right now for MCAs. MCAs will be happening April 14th through the 23rd at Falls Elementary. We do reading and math MCAs for grades 3 through 6, and then science in grade 5. Right now, teachers are working on practice. They're working on goal setting and some incentives so that students will do their best. And we just want to remind students and families that the MCAs are one snapshot of how a child is learning, but over time, it helps us identify trends. It helps us do a better job with our programming, with our teaching strategies. It helps us learn more about what we can do better to help support kids. So the MCAs are really important in that sense. We're preparing our 5th graders are heading to Starbase on the Air Force Base in Duluth on the 18th of April. We are planning for the 26-27 school year already. We're working on scheduling, and honestly, this was on my list to talk about. We are working on programming for the Ojibwe language and culture, adding that to our specialist calendar. To be truthful, a big barrier for us is space. We are using every nook and cranny of our space right now, and we are very excited about the renovation that's happening because we will have more space. We'll actually have classroom space to have those classes. So, you know, that's been unfortunate, but we're really excited about what we'll have to offer going forward. We are at +1 right now at Falls Elementary School. And that wraps up my report.
Thank
you. You want Tim to go first and then you do long? I know, that's why I'm like, I'll let you go first.
Thank you.
So it's time for my tri-monthly, is that the right word, report about sports and how things are going around the activities. So we'll just get started. Girls hockey. The Bronco girls hockey team finished the season 5-20 under first-year head coach Brian Kershaw, along with new assistant coaches Lexi Erickson and M. Erickson. The team had 25 players from grades 8 through 12. The Bronco boys hockey team again won the Iron Range Conference for the second consecutive year, finished with a record of 22-2-2. That's the most wins in the season since 2008. The team also won their home holiday tournament, as well as having possession of the traveling trophies with Fort Francis and Lake of the Woods. The team of 25 players were led by 60-year head coach Chad Baldwin, David Eddy, Adam Matthews as new assistant coaches, and Jared Baldwin and Tucker Hell. Peyton Zahn, in her second year as head coach, led the Bronco hockey cheerleaders with 7 of cheerleaders. Boys United head coach Steve Johnson completed his 11th season with new assistant coaches Nate Mosman, Brent Ford and Tommy Barron. With 19 athletes competing, the boys finished the dual season with a 1-4 record. The 200 medley relay of Sig Ginter, Connor Tomzak, Wyatt Jansen, and Max Uso, took third at sections and 18th at the state meet. Superintendent Shimon was there. She said it was the most exciting thing she's ever seen. And worked with the 5th and 6th graders for the elementary season. Second head coach for girls basketball, Derek Downey, and assistant coach Luke Zika led the team to a 13-14 record. The team had 19 girls play for the varsity in the JV. Kyle Burmeister and Kathy Osman coached the 7th and 8th graders that had 14 players, while the following worked with the elementary teams that had 42 girls. Derek Johnson, Seth Edisted, John Winkle, Sarah Wendt, Ellie Wendt, and Kyle City. Basketball, third year head coach John Sano, new assistant coach Rick Benedict, and Ellie Jean led the varsity and JV boys program as they finished the season with a 7-20 record. Whitney McWilliams and Brian Riddle stepped up to coach the C team, as those three programs together had 34 players. Caroline Beneline, Don Sobey, and John Riller coached the 7th and 8th grade team that had 14 players. And the following coached the 44 boys at the elementary level: Danae Schaefer, Jared Koschik, Devin Mann, Kyle Schmidt, Brad Kokesh, and Alyssa Hackenmueller. And Coach Lori Potter had 8 Bronco cheerleaders for the boys basketball team this season. Now, they just completed their season under head coach Ariana Saradka. There were 11 students that competed this winter. One act play competed in January in their subsection meet under new head coach Sean Bowles. The math team just completed their season. They finished 4th out of 7 teams. They had 13 athletes competing. We have a robotics team that competed down in Duluth a couple of weeks ago, about 10 days ago, in their first competition under head coach John Brubaker. The FHS high school band just competed in their region competition under the direction of Justin True. The band earned a superior rating. They also had 5 superior solos and 15 excellent solos on March 3rd. At our conference, we're having a meeting tomorrow to discuss spring sports, but also to discuss Bound. We're going to be moving away from Arbiter in our school and moving to use Bound, as most of all of the Iron Range Conference and most of the Arrowhead schools are moving to that platform for our scheduling. So we are going to see a change. This is for the public more than anybody else, but it's going to be a big change where you're used to going to ironrangeconference.org. That's going to go away, and we'll be having a Bound app that you'll be getting all your updates on, and we'll be doing all our scheduling through that. So the Arrowhead Conference, Arrow and Iron Range conferences are meeting on April 1st. There will be some stuff to do there. So thank you, as always, for me, Jody Lindvall and Christina Dowdy in the office. They're always there to take the phone calls and enter the stuff in for the parents and the kids. Beth, Missy, and Don, obviously there for consultations and discussing those things. Community Ed, Molly Wesson and Angela Schwartz, they've been helping step up with summer ball. I'll mention more about summer ball in a minute. The custodial staff, the gyms, the arenas, taken care of, ready to go. And also, of course, the transportation, driving the buses. Those kids can be a little crazy every once in a while. The game workers, my goodness, I think about the game workers, goal judges, scorekeepers, scoreboard operators. It takes a village, as they say. Thank you to all those people. The kids, both as competitors and athletes, and also as fans, we've done a pretty good job with, again, our performance with the kids at games. So it's great to see those kids get out there and be supportive of their fellow athletes. Parents, of course, getting their kids back and forth to practice, games, and such. And let's not forget about it. Thank you to the coaches. Sometimes you add up the hours that they put in for the pay, and it doesn't seem to be worth it. Spring seasons, we're in full swing. First day, everybody's at it today. So golf just got started over at Falls Elementary. Baseball started downstairs in the gym at 3:15. Track and field was underway, complete after they could have started last week, but with spring break, they didn't start till this week. And of course, we've got softball. We'll get started here at about 7 o'clock. They'll be here late this week doing that. So all those sports in full swing. We got our first track meet on Saturday at UWS. We're here. We're ready to go. Speech, they continue their season. They're about halfway through their season. They continue to have great performances under new head coach Sean Bowles. And I mentioned summer ball a couple minutes ago. We had signups 2 weeks ago. We've got 415 plus kids. You might recall 2 years ago, I came to you and said we're at about 310. Last year I came, we were about 375. We got 73 5- and 6-year-olds playing t-ball. 58 3 and 4-year-olds. It's insane, but obviously I can't do we've got a great group of people. Courtney Christie, Megan Ulmer, Katie Hammers, Kyle Sinneke, Nita Ringhofer, and Jessica Burmeister helping me and everybody here at the school get that done. We couldn't be doing it without those people. Questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah.
I'm just going to briefly go over our community ed, early education, community education director's report. Molly Larson couldn't be with us tonight, so I'm just going to read off some of the information she provided us. For the early education, West End early education area, preschool enrollment numbers are currently sitting at 64 students. They recently had the preschool registration for the next school year. Currently, both 4-year-old classes are full and now have a waiting list. That's really positive news for us. The 3-year-old classes have some spots available. We are looking at possibly restructuring what that could look like, but signups are going well still. As of today, 62 students have been placed into classes, which is really exciting for where we are going and where we were in the last year. Preschool graduation is planned for Wednesday, May 27th. For ECFE, there are 2 upcoming events. One is the Open Family Swim Night, which is April 16th, and Swing into Summer, which is May 14th. Current community education classes have been going well. They had a successful and full class for the Rustic Bunny class. Miss Larson actually held her own friendship bracelet class with some students. We are actually finding staff being present and showing up to offer more programming for our kids, which is really exciting. So we're looking at some food opportunities, some more crafts, and things like that. Driver's training was held. They had 19 students who were enrolled and are currently taking that program. One of the popular classes, we had a class in the past held with one of our teachers, Miss Nemec, and that was a chunky knit blanket class. There is another one being held by another facilitator, and that one is going to be held on March 20th. We still have a few spots available in that. Other upcoming classes include driver's training May 12th at 9 o'clock, and that will be at the College Theater. The alumni basketball tournament, community education is helping out with the booster program and taking registrations for the players. There is a children's crochet class, beginners crocheting class, that will be March 30th and April 8th. Water fitness, Monday, March 16th. This is the last week until the fall classes. Bordertown Blaze softball, summer fast pitch signups are currently happening with community education. And we are also going to be offering a kids painting class with local artist, Mrs. Serrano. That is May 21st, and that will be an exciting class for some of our artistic students. The PALS program, Adults with Disabilities, there are 30 PALS that are going to the Reeve Center in Grand Rapids next week to attend a play. PALS coordinator Angela Scholler is currently working on a grant to fund additional programs and opportunities for our PALS programming. General updates include currently planning for spring and early summer classes and even into fall, along with getting lifeguards trained so we can offer more opportunities for swim lessons. So it's nice to see the program developing. We've also, as a school community, we reach out to a number of local people who are artists, who have hobbies, and ask them to come in and share some of their talents with us. So we're looking to extend our programming even more. Principal West, do you think I could get you to run the computer for me? That'd be great. So I'll just tell you when to move forward. So there are a number of things that I'm gonna try to be brief, but I don't know how that will look. We have a number of things that we're going to need to talk about tonight that are on our very robust board agenda. But tonight, under the action items, you are going to be seeing, we're going to be setting the stage for tonight's vote on to renew our existing operating referendum, the funding that has helped our schools run since 2018. Can you go to the next slide, please, Lisa? I want to take just a moment to talk about this and what it is and why it matters and why there is no ballot election needed in order for us to move forward. So when you look at the operating referendum, we have to talk about it being dollars that come into our school district that help supplement what we receive from the state and federal programming. So when you look at this, the operating referendum is something that you voted on approximately 10 years ago. And this is an annual levy. The maximum timeline is for about 10 years. And when you look at this, it also includes inflationary adjustments through time. So when we talk about the 2017 ballot that you took to the community, to the voters, they approved this extra funding for our schools for a 10-year window. That money goes directly into school operations, things like teacher salaries, classroom supplies, and additional programming for our school district. That approval is set to expire in 2027. So in order for us to move forward, we have to have a conversation and a vote amongst the school board a year prior. So what we're going to be doing tonight, we are going to be renewing it. The resolution is to renew it for another 10 years, which would be from 2028 to 2037. The per pupil funding amount stays exactly the same. It does not change from what people are currently paying. This is a continuation of what voters already said yes to, not to something new. So I want to make sure that is very clear this evening. Does this raise taxes? The answer is no. The amount is unchanged from what has been approved in 2017. The property tax obligation related to this referendum does not increase. Why doesn't this go to the public for vote? So that is one of the questions that I was asked by board members, in addition to some of the staff within the district, so they could understand it more. Do you want to go to the next slide, Lisa? The Minnesota law states, specifically Minnesota statute section 126C.17, allows the school board to renew an expiring referendum one time without a special election, as long as the amount stays the same and the term isn't longer than the original. We meet all of those conditions. Go ahead and continue to move forward. This is a legal, transparent process that saves the district the cost of running another election. So when you look at the chart that's on the board here, in order for us to continue to keep up with inflation and what it costs to run a school district, and when you start looking at that per pupil funding, obviously we continue to grow in deficit. So this is a really important thing for us to continue within the district. If we do not renew this and the funding disappears after 2027, this will mean more significant cuts to our operating budget beginning in 2028, which would directly impact highly staffing, programs, and additional services for our students. Go ahead, Lisa. So after tonight's vote, the district clerk would file the resolution with the Minnesota Commissioner of Education and the county auditor by September 1st, should this resolution pass. It takes effect 60 days after the adoption date. The renewed funding kicks in the taxes payable in 2028. No gap, no interruption, no change in what our taxpayers are currently paying. So as we look at this and as you make your decision this evening, I want you to keep in mind that I'm an educator at the heart. I am a parent, I am a grandmother, I am now the leader of ISD 361, and this comes with some really tough decisions that the school board has to make. And we also know that International Falls is a community that has lost significant population. We know that we've had a lot of economic hardship within our community. That being said, we as school district leaders have to make some really tough decisions. And that comes with recommendations of cuts, that comes with living within our means, but also understanding that there is inflation factors that impact our employees. And that's why we are in a negotiation year. We're in an opportunity where we have to renew this operate and levy. We're in a community where we have class sizes from 79, graduating classes of 69 to first grade classes of 50. It comes with some very, very difficult decisions to make. And it is never easy to be the front person to have to propose some of these cuts to the board. But what I want you to also remember as you make this decision tonight, the state funding guidelines when it comes to special education have been reduced. Transportation funding is being reduced. And we are having to operate on less overall. And one of the things that I also want you to keep in mind is that we have to continue to bridge that gap, or we are going to be on a roadmap to possibly a one rooftop schoolhouse when we start looking at preschool through 12th grade. And that's an honest conversation that we have to have. The other thing is, because of the trajectory of student enrollment and student numbers with the continued decrease, obviously, our administrative team and our school district community is very passionate about how can we readjust the roadmap and how we deliver instruction for our community. And that means looking at something a little bit different, looking at online schools, looking at other avenues of what we offer kids. So college in the classroom, offering an AA degree. Where do we have to look at cutting from? And that means we have to look at cutting in all aspects and where we could possibly save dollars. One of the things that I want to be very transparent about is if we do not start making some adjustments, we will continue to run at about a deficit of budget cuts, a minimum of about $450,000 a year. This year alone, because of the significance of the referendum work, the significance of negotiations, the significance of many areas in our district not being in compliance when it comes to infrastructure and the ongoing care of aging infrastructure. It also has been a negotiation year for all bargaining units. So with that being said, we are in a position that we're going to be making anywhere from $600,000 to $900,000 in cuts this year. And that is the reality that we face. Other superintendents across the country are in positions of making cuts of $4 million, $3 million. And they are all looking at different avenues to support their communities to provide high-level educational experiences and programming for our students. So I can assure you that your district leadership team and your staff and community are committed to doing right by the school district, but it does come with making some really tough decisions. But I am asking for your support to renew this as we continue to move forward and continue to champion for something new and something even better for our ISD 361 students. Thank you. I will move through this as quickly as possible, but I think I want to give you some context as you make decisions for a school district. I believe in transparency, and I really want to make sure I tell the story of the district, talk to you about some of the really great successes, but also talk to you about some of the areas of challenge for the school district as a whole. So for ISD 361, our motto has been strong traditions, future forward, and I think everybody pretty much knows that. The goal for the district is really to finish the year strong, our 25-26 school year, but also to be in the mindset we're always planning a year in advance on what the next school year will look like. We have been doing that quite extensively as we've met with a number of community partners. We've met with a number of people at the state and federal level, and just really working with other area school districts, rural school districts that I've spent a significant amount of time with talking about some of the barriers that they face when it comes to not always being afforded the same dollars or opportunities maybe that the metropolitan areas have. We are not the only district in this position. Rural school districts across the country are in tough positions. So one of the statements that I have shared with some of our community members within our district is we have to focus on meaningful change to right the ship, to go to our 21st century learning, and really remembering that we are in a digital platform and a career-oriented platform of teaching and learning, that we have to really shift away from that traditional seating of just sitting and getting. And I think we're on a great, we've started, it's just what are we going to do to level up? So when we talk about meaningful change, we talk about meaningful change does and will not happen quickly. A strong plan for improvement and application in today's educational best practices requires sustained effort by the team of over a commitment for 3 to 5 years. We know that meaningful change begins in that 3 to 5 window when you have a plan, your strategic plan is in place, and your school community is committed to that. This also comes with a willingness to celebrate small wins and to sit in discomfort as we learn, collaborate, analyze, budget, adjust, and grow. For ISD 361, good enough cannot be our standard, your standard, or my standard. Our families, students, staff, and community deserve our very best. So I believe that our school district is committed to that. I believe that our staff, our paraprofessionals, our bus drivers are committed to the high integrity of the district, of the past, and continuing to grow and move forward. So when we talk about what does some of the data tell us, some of this information you've seen, but really we have to remember the demographics and the community that we live in. So there's some positives and there's some challenges that we are facing. One of the things that we feel super passionate about going into the next school year is really revisiting our CAPE programming. And we know that we live in a community that we are seeing some significant increases in meth and fentanyl use within the community. And that is something that is shown on local surveys. So one of the things that the district is going to be invested in is making sure that we have opportunities for our students through the CAPE funding to make sure that we have programs and services in place to work with students who may have experienced some of those occurrences or come from a family or friendships that are also being exposed to some of these things. We know that a significant, 13+% of the community, I think it's actually higher than that now, live below the poverty line. And a significant portion of that falls within our school population. We see that in our numbers. We also know through current data, both at a local, state, and national level, that the CPS, Child Protective Services, is on a continued rise when it comes to mental health, behaviors, poverty, neglect. So that is something that we know we have to continue to focus on. Hence is the reason one of the focus areas of why we applied for the full service community model school. When we talk about a state level, we're talking about looking at the students fill out the Minnesota Student Survey, but we also know from current data that has just come out that 60% of Minnesota reports to the CPS has to do with child neglect. And so that is something I think that as teachers, as principals, administrators, bus drivers, custodians, we want what's best for our students, and that's where we want to be reflective of serving the whole child. Some of the youngest children in the system have the highest rates of child neglect. So that's something that is always at the forefront, especially when we're working with our littlest learners. So the Minnesota Student Survey, see there's an extra 3 there. We did see a slight trend, a positive trend of where children are at post-COVID. Immediately right after COVID, there was a significant decline in mental health because children were so isolated from their peers. Some of the needs in the home were not being met, but we're starting to see a trend of where kids are at having a more positive outlook now that they're networked and re-engaged in their school communities within person. One of the areas that continues to be a trend across the nation, across the state, and I would say a significant issue for ISD 361 is positive school attendance. And that not only comes from students arriving to school late or missing a significant amount of school. We're seeing a trend where Fridays, we have about 25% of our students out of the building on any given Friday. And that also is a reflection we're seeing in some of our staffing situations also. So when we start looking at the attendance, that is where you're going to start seeing areas of concern in mental health, areas of concern in behavior, areas of concern also in student performance. Student outcomes have to be met. We are required by law to teach grade level standards and have those assessments done in the spring. But one of the things that we continuously want to go back on, and I'm going to show you as we get close of the school year, is we had a historical data hub built. You can see how our trends in student performance correlate with our attendance rates. So when we talk about areas of student grade levels that are really having areas of not maybe feeling good about ourselves, the target grades were 5th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. So these are areas that also correlate with what Dr. Hardwick talked about tonight. A lot of it has to do with that online community, that social media component, peer pressure, and things that they're seeing online. We're seeing a heightened area of bullying trends across the country when it comes to online experiences. So it's something that we are really passionate about addressing in the future of the district. So overall, International Falls students, one of the positive trends for our district was I feel that my teacher cares about me. And I think that says a lot when we're talking about our school community if our students are reporting that. As we continue, we've gone over some of this data. We want to continue to build capacity when it comes to positive school attendance and making sure our families are really educated on the importance of having our students here. Even missing 20 minutes of class every day, if you're missing 20 minutes of class every day in that first hour, that begins to add up to days, which begins to add up to weeks. So as a school district, as the superintendent of the district, as principals of their schools, and as teachers who are leaders in their classroom and school community as a whole, some of the collective commitments that we have heard over and over about what's important to our school community, and that is a sense of team, moving out of our silos and continuing to work together, engaging in also, we want to be very reflective in our own practices and really move away from, is it somebody else's problem? Is it somebody else's issue? But how can we move from complaint to problem solving? So that's another area of reflective practice and professional accountability. We also felt it was very strong to move, strongly felt that moving forward to the 26-27 school year is making sure we have impeccable data, data of integrity as we start looking at behaviors, we start looking at our MTSS data for possible 504s or special education referrals, or looking at the the intervention component, which is reflective of the whole child. So meeting the academic, the behavior, the attendance, the social emotional. Obviously, this takes a community, this takes a team, and it takes many people to do that. But we're also having to do it on even more limited funding year after year. We want to make sure that we prioritize communication. That is an area I feel overall the district needs to work on. One of the barriers was the transition to the new student information system. We are working out the kinks, but making sure we have the time and capacity that we're moving beyond just email responses, but really talking to the people and the stakeholders within our classrooms, within our schools, and at a district level. So that is a goal for us as a school community, and really trying to speak the same language. What are our goals? What is the Bronco way of life? What is important to us as a school district? So as we look at the construction highlights, we have a significant number of positive things that are happening for the school as a whole. If people don't know, things aren't happening with construction now. It is fast and furious, and it's very exciting. The flooring has started to be laid at both schools. Weston, second floor is already done. It looks absolutely beautiful, and just the difference is unbelievable. So as we talk about the Falls High School renovations, the roof drains are installed, new family toilets are coming in, exhaust fans, sprinkler work is being done. We were really concerned. We got flagged by the state regarding our gymnasium. They were going to make us tear down walls, which would have been an added expense. but we have been approved to only have to add sprinklers to that area. So we're very pleased about that outcome. In addition to, they have started a significant amount of work over spring break. They're painting door frames, laying flooring, and things are really starting to come together. So you're really seeing all of that work enhance some really positive investment by our community. So as you start looking at, you're going to be able to see some of the changes that are happening. We're going to continue to apply for grants for areas that we could not afford during this referendum vote, but we are going to continue to seek active grants. For example, on the agenda tonight, I think we're going to receive 5 or 10 new water filter stations. We wouldn't have been able to receive those, and they are going to help with some of the lead components. And those are all going to be brand new. So we're going to continue to work really hard to bring in additional funding. Bronco Stadium, that has been an interesting project. As they took the floor out, they found lots of deep holes. So they've had to fill in and do some additional things in there, but the work is coming along nicely. They're starting to wrap up the framing of the walls. They're putting the new doors. If you drive by, you can see the new doors that have been installed. Bronco Arena renovations, the ice show, I believe, is this weekend. And once the ice show is concluded and our facilities team wraps up the work that they need to do there, they are going to see the demolition of the locker rooms, and things will really start moving along nicely. So that is very exciting for the future because they are in harsh shape, and it really needs to happen. The storage rooms for additional athletics and activities, they have started to be built in the back of the arena. Remaining work will continue to be into the summer. We'll have lockers. The ref locker room will be started. And some of these, April 1st is kind of the lock-in date where the construction will really be underway. Falls Elementary had a lot going on over break. I was surprised not to see Mrs. West hole up at Falls High School. She endured it, making sure that everybody was doing their jobs, and we appreciated that. The new flooring has gone in. It is absolutely beautiful. I think it's very exciting. It really changes the dynamics of what the school looks like. They have continued work to do over there, but as you can see, the color palette is a strong representation of the International Falls Broncos. They're working in the cafeteria, putting in that VCT flooring. They're doing the abatement processes that need to be finalized. And then they're also going to be setting up over the summer. They're going to be working on that new office area, the STEAM area, in addition to the special education rooms, which are long overdue. So as I close out this portion, I guess I just want to remind the board and the community that though it feels like a lot of change is coming at you, I think it's positive change. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be things that we're going to tweak both positively and areas of challenge. But we're committed to doing this work as a school district to really be up and running in a fluid and successful high standard level. It's going to take about 3 to 5 years. So it requires that focus and that commitment, not only by myself, but it requires that focus and commitment by the school board, our school community, in addition to the community as a whole, because I really believe really great things are happening within our district. I'm excited for the future of 361. It doesn't mean that there's not tough days. There's days that are very challenging, and days that decisions aren't going to be in a position that makes everybody happy, but we have to make some really tough decisions. But when things change and the data looks different, we will add where we need to, but we're going to let the data really drive our decisions and support the work that we're doing. One of the things that you're going to hear me talk about tonight is International Falls. Linnea Imhoff has worked with the administrative team, taken collective feedback from our community. We submitted an extensive full-service community school grant, and International Falls was awarded the grant over spring break, which means that we're starting at the high school level. We're going to be applying also for the elementary level by the end of the month, but we will be receiving over $570,000 to provide a full-service community model at the high school level. And really what that means, it focuses on serving the whole child. So it means medical, it means social emotional, it means providing greater opportunities and activities and supports for our students overall. So we're tiering that up, and we're getting ready to now apply for our Falls Elementary. We are obviously the most northern school district to ever receive this. You see it's very prominent in the metropolitan area. Roseau, I believe, could be the closest one. So it was very exciting for the district to receive this. And I really commend Linnea Imhoff on the work she did, because it was not an easy task to send this grant application in. So our standard is not going to be good enough or good. Our standard will now become great. So we ask that you support that work that we've proposed. Thank you.
Policy committee, you will see there's a lot of policies on the agenda for first readings. These are all policies that the MSBA went through and helped us to update to be up with all the new changes that MSBA has done over the past few years. So athletic committee.
Just a couple updates. One thing you'll see on the agenda for the board to vote on is the Heil Pike and moving that to Tilson. A few other things we talked about, but no decisions were made. We talked about booster clubs, which Beth has somebody coming up here and doing a presentation on booster clubs to make sure we're up to date and everybody's following the same policies. Same with fundraising. We also talked, as Tim said in his presentation, about co-ops and the different opportunities there. And we also talked about budget discussions for athletics and activities, but no decisions were made.
Legislative update.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love me. I had 2 months worth of legislative updates, and I saw the agenda, so I cut it back to one thing. And I kind of wish I could do the sing-song thing like Tim does. I could have got about 20 of them in. He can go pretty quick. But anyway, what I wanted to say that is the most important right now is because they're in the legislative sessions right now. It's important for everyone to write to their legislators about this one thing, and it's called the Minnesota Constitutional Amendment Bill. And this bill is related to how the state distributes funds to schools from timber sales, mineral rights, and the leasing of school trust lands. And there's a short video, or I can give you the link to it if anybody's interested, just email me, and I put it in the notes. But anyway, there's a short video of one of the MSBA delegate, or one of the people that work at MSBA talking with the legislators, telling them why it's so important to pass this amendment, because what it does is, they said at this point they're using an antiquated process which was established in the 19th century on how to distribute the money from these funds from timber sales, mineral, and leasing of school trust lands. They said the state is using a very antiquated process, and if they were to change that, the way they have it written, they would like to increase the percentage of funding to the schools while still protecting the integrity of the funds for the future. So that could mean, as we all need, it could mean more funding to the schools. So if you don't know your legislators, contact me. I can help you with getting names and addresses and all that. But it's very important that we try to get them to pass that this year. That's all I'm going to say today.
Awesome, thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Tina and second by Jess to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? No? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, go to the first action item, improving systems and structures to create a culture where all are welcome and supported. Resolution of acceptance of gifts and donations. Whereas School Board Policy 706 establishes the guidelines for the acceptance of gifts or donations to the district. Whereas International Falls School District Board encourages the support of the district's educational programs through gifts or donations that meet the goals and objectives of the school district. Whereas Minnesota Statute 465.03 states the school board may accept a gift, grant, or devise of real or personal property only by the adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its members. Therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of International Falls Public Schools, ISD number 361, accepts with appreciation the following gifts, donations, or grants received by the school district. Bronco football boosters, shoulder pads and helmets, 3,000, or is it 37? There's an X. There's a,
Is it 3,000? It's 3,000.
$3,732 and must be 37 cents?
Yes.
Okay. The decimal point was in the wrong spot. So I was like, I don't think it's 37,000. All right, prom donations. MDW Boise, $100. Border Bank, $250. Wenberg Transfer, $250. Borderland Insurance, $250. Service Master, $250. Do I have a motion? Motion by Rox.
I'll second.
Second by Tina. All those in favor of accepting the gifts and donations?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, whereupon the resolution is declared adopted, and I apologize, I missed one. Anonymous donor provided 200 donuts, muffins, 100 cookies, and coffee and supplies to support staff and community work on March 16th. And the donation was valued at $550. So thank you to that person. And everybody else for donating. We appreciate it. We'll go to 1B, approval of 25-26, 26-27 contract between ISD 361 and International Falls Federation of Educational Support Professionals, Local 4798. Do I have a motion?
Motion. I'll second. Rox.
All right. And that was Tina or Jess? Okay, sorry.
It's okay. Voices coming from over here.
Yeah, somewhere over here. All right. I have a motion by Jessica and a second by Rox to approve the 25-26 and 26-27 contract between ISD 361 and International Falls Federation of Educational Support Professionals, Local 4798. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the 26-27 school year West End Early Education and Falls Elementary School sections based on projected enrollments. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion. Rox.
Okay. Motion by Rox. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Second by Dale. Any discussion?
I just want to clarify again. I mean, obviously we all have concerns about class sizes and all that kind of stuff. If we go down to the two sections, how many students as of right now is that going to put in those classes?
That's a great question. Right now, if all of our, for example, if all of our kindergartners were to move forward to first grade, we currently have 50 students. We have 3 sections of kindergarten, ranging from 15 students in a class to 16. So it would put, with 2 sections, it would put 25. I do want you to know that I have been a classroom teacher. I do validate their concerns. One of the things that I want you to know is that as a school district, we are making budget cuts across the district at both schools in all departments. But we are also very in tune to what our enrollment numbers look like. And that will be closely monitored because we certainly are not going to exceed a certain capacity. And if you look at that chart, you can kind of gauge where we're at. So do know that Principal West and I will be evaluating this very closely and monitoring it. We will have an enrollment event. We're looking at it either in April or May. And we don't know what will happen, but we also will be introducing our online school. So enrollment overall will be closely monitored.
What about fourth grade?
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I think they're sitting at 52, if I remember correctly, 51 or 52. So you're looking at approximately 26 in a classroom.
And the other grades, I know you did a presentation for us just a little bit ago, and that's why we have some background knowledge on some of this. But now the other grades besides first and fourth, what are we looking at class-wise right now for them?
So they all have, the remaining all have 3 sections, and they're sitting at anywhere from 21 to 26. I don't know right off the top of my head, but what I can tell you is it's very interesting. Like when we look at the preschool numbers right now, there's more preschoolers than we anticipated. We do have a high transient population in International Falls, and what that means, families moving in and out. And that's why when we say we enrolled 6 new students, and we only have 1 to add, we generally have some that have left the area. So that's something we also monitor. But overall, the enrollment trends historically have been a decrease for the district. 6th grade has approximately 79 students in it, and kindergarten has 50 in it, and that's the reality. So when you're looking at revenue loss, it's quite significant. It's well over $200,000 just in that that discrepancy alone, and it's more trending towards a 300 plus. So it is a concern, and like I said, we are in negotiation years are always very challenging. You know, inflation, budget reductions at the state and federal level are happening. Hence, one of the barriers we've had with childcare, really having lockdowns on some of the grants and additional funding that was available. We are obviously applying for grants, but we also have to live within our means. And I know that is not an easy thing to hear. But we are looking at, again, budget cuts this year of $600,000 to $900,000. And I worked really hard to have honest conversations in our negotiation meetings. But it's hard, you know, it is not anything, we can't do it all, and we have to monitor this closely, and I'm committed to monitoring 1st and 4th grade very closely, as is Principal West.
So I think the point I'm trying to make is that if we made a decision tonight to go to 2 sections in those grades, we can always vote later to re-expand to 3 and add back. So it's not like a final forever. If enrollment changes, it would go back up.
Right. So I guess to piggyback on that, what do we have a threshold? Like, is there a number that we would revisit? Like if, you know, a fluctuation of students move to the area?
So if you look at the enrollment chart that I gave you, when you start looking at anywhere thresholds to 61 students to 79, those are conversations that we need to start having. But when you look at classroom sizes, and I empathize. I was a 6th grade teacher, and I had 29 students in my classroom. It is very hard. That being said, we're committed to making sure they have additional supports if needed, or adding a 3rd section back in based on the enrollment trends. Whatever the board decides tonight is not the final decision, because our hopes with the new models, instructional models that we're going to be offering, is that we're going to see some of the students return back to the district when they see some of the offerings that are going to be afforded to them in 26, 27 at a preschool and 12th grade level. We will be operating on a full online school for kindergarten through 12th grade.
Okay, great. I'm sure, like all of us, I'm struggling, of course, hearing the teachers and weighing the financial responsibilities with the realities of what it's like to teach kids. It's not easy, and I just want to make sure that we're very clear that, you know, if we do decide tonight to go to 2 sections in those grades, that there is always the opportunity to add back based on the enrollment. Okay.
Any other discussion or questions? No? All right. There's a motion by Rox and a second by Dale to approve the 26-27 school year West End Early Education and Falls Elementary School sections based on projected enrollments. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Approve the 26-27 school year calendar. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
So we got questions.
Yeah.
Discussion?
We got questions.
So I did receive your email tonight and I appreciate the questions. So this school year and next school year are unique situations when it comes to when schools can start across the country, but specifically to the state statute for Minnesota. We are allowed to start school before Labor Day this year because of how late Labor Day falls. I do support this for the fact that I think it's a hindrance to go longer in the summer because then our students are missing 7 to 10 days of instruction, grade level standard instruction based on the materials that they need to know and get ready for the next grade level, in addition to being adequately prepared for their state assessments. So I am in favor of this. I have met with the union on this and administrators on this. So I am proposing to adjust for the 26-27 school year to start school before Labor Day this year.
I was shocked when I looked at the calendar and saw that Labor Day was so late.
It
It
is
made sense. Yeah.
It is late. I guess I just struggle because summer's so short as it is, and a lot of people, that's like their last family get together, like their last vacation. I guess that's where I'm struggling with it.
And I think when I look at the calendar, they're still gonna get all of their weeks of summer break. It's just that the Labor Day falls such a whole week later. So, it's not like they're missing out on their summer days. It just feels weird because they're coming to school for a few days and then going off for Labor Day. I think one of the things that is a concern is parents not being able to have input. And we know that sometimes parents, really have strong feelings. I think it's important that we give them all the information, but we maybe should let parents have more input on this one.
I agree. I think I wish this one would have gone to a vote, like, or had been on the agenda sooner, because I didn't even realize it was added today and until the last minute, unless you're familiar with the calendar, I maybe wouldn't have caught it,
Yep.
I guess to me, I would like to see it tabled and get voter feedback, but
Well, as I understand, we have an option to either start before Labor Day or go after Memorial Day, right?
After Labor Day.
after
Oh, yeah,
Labor
go to
Day.
school after Memorial Day, go into June, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to do that
No.
either.
No,
So they're both bad options.
Bad options.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. It's just a bad year because of where Labor Day falls. I really didn't realize it was so late.
It's very late.
I do believe in the concept of doing it, of coming back to school before Labor Day. I don't believe in not giving parents some time to talk to us.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents, families already have their summers planned out for next year, and maybe this wasn't taken into account.
Yeah, so I guess basically it's either start, a week before or go longer. And I know when it gets hot, I said thinking the same
Squirrely
thing.
in the
And
spring,
like,
I
when it
wouldn't want
starts
to do
getting
that.
warm, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's very hard. And graduation would be then later, potentially, which would be hotter as well,
Yeah. which is
most
another vote.
likely.
But it's not really starting a week before, because last year they have the first off, right? Last year was
Yeah.
the first. So it's not really starting a week before.
No,
It's just Labor Day is
Is
the
the
week
week
after.
It's just a mind thing.
It's a
about
mind
the way the
set.
calendar, the way the calendar looks.
And to me, I guess it's not the calendar stuck in my head, it's that people use that weekend, as a long weekend for their last family gatherings and stuff.
But to
That's
that
where I'm
point,
struggling.
though, to that point, athletics start
Mhm. Yeah, they
halfway
start in
through August.
right.
And I remember when I coached cheerleading, I had to remind people all the time that usually the first football game is that Friday of Labor Day weekend, and people would get a little uptight about it, but it is what it is. If you're involved in things, then they gotta be around anyways, so.
I guess I'll just add one more component to this is this is an anomaly of a year.
Yeah.
This is not something that will be repetitive. We don't usually gather input on a calendar from our families and community, though I do, please know I do respect and value input. There are so many factors that go into building a school calendar. We've redone this calendar dozens of times. It has to be aligned to MCA testing windows that are already set in place by the state. We have to build around athletics and activities. And I agree with the statement, and I guess I didn't even think about it. When you think about the actual start of school, it's on the exact same date as it was this year. It's just the move is Labor Day. It does put us into June, which is a whole nother factor when it comes to students with summer jobs and some of the other areas. But when you look at this, if the board decides to table this, we will have to go back and reschedule everything, including the spring break, because we work really hard to build it around the MCAs. So just consider that, and I will support whatever the board decides tonight, but please know there are significant factors that play a role into this.
I think we're okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Jessica and second by Rox to approve the 26-27 school year calendar. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approve elimination of early release Wednesdays beginning the 26-27 school year. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Yeah. And you're seconding, Tina? Yeah. All right. Motion, any discussion? Yay. So happy.
So am I.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay.
Well, I guess we should say something about, okay, the need for those early out Wednesdays was there before, so maybe you could just touch on that.
I don't know the actual history of the district. You do see some school districts, it's kind of a split. Some school districts offer early outs, some do not, and they provide more professional development time. One of the areas that the reason behind this discussion is because of the addition of the spring break, adding back in some of the minutes of instructional time that's lost. So I think this is a nice balance to this. In addition to, I do know that this was also a concern for the board and for some of our community and family members. So this does, by adding back in the early out time, it does get us back into the alignment with the minutes that we are required to meet by the state in how we serve our students in a teaching and learning space. So I think it's historically for professional development is why you have early outs. And we have worked really hard to build in the maximum amount of professional times that we can. So the time that we have with our educators and our district employees is meaningful, and it moves beyond a 50-minute window or an hour and a half window, and the time that we have will be full 8-hour days. So that is going to be a higher level of professional development time with our staff.
And it disrupts the week with children. And like you had said, Wednesday is one of the highest attendance days that we have, and kids are finally in a routine. It doesn't make sense to disrupt that. So, all right. Motion by Jessica, second by Tina to approve elimination of early release Wednesdays beginning the 26-27 school year. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Resolution authorizing the renewal of the existing expiring referendum revenue authorization. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Motion by Rox and second by Tina. Any discussion?
I think we've been.
Okay. All right. Motion by Rox, second by Tina, for the resolution authorizing the renewal of the expiring referendum revenue authorization. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approve acceptance of the MDE fiscal year 2026 full service community school strategy grant opportunity in the amount of $571,194.37 to support ISD 361 into a community hub that integrates academic, social, and health services to reduce non-academic barriers and support student and family success. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Tina and second by Jess. Discussion?
Just thank you to everybody who provided the data, who provided the writing, and thank you everybody for the support. These large-scale grants of this magnitude are not easy undertaking, and I just want to thank Principal West and Principal Tate and Linnea, in addition to many others within the district. This is a very significant, it's really exciting. I have worked in a full-service community model school district, and what this is going to offer children when it comes to their wellness is quite significant. So thank you.
Good.
Awesome. All right, I have a motion by Tina and second by Jess to approve the acceptance of MDE fiscal year 2026 full service community school strategy grant opportunity in the amount of $571,194.37 to support ISD 361 into a community hub that integrates academic, social, and health services to reduce non-academic barriers and support student, family, and success. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Budget reduction, approve the reduction of 1 student support specialist. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Motion by Tina,
I'll second.
second by Dale. Discussion? None? A motion by Tina, second by Dale, for budget reduction of, approving the budget reduction of 1 student support specialist. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Budget reduction, approve the reduction of 2 non-tenured teaching positions. Motion by Dale. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Jessica. Discussion?
Again, just the option of adding back in if enrollment supports it.
Yes.
All right, motion by Dale and second by Jessica to approve the reduction of 2 non-tenured teaching positions. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Another budget reduction, approves the reduction of 1 interventionalist position. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Rox.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say once again that the board is not just acting on these as of today. We've already had a presentation by Beth. And so we have a lot of background on this already. So.
All right, motion by Rox and second by Tina to approve the reduction of 1 interventionalist position. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Budget reduction, approve the reduction of 1 administrative assistant position. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Tina and second by Jess. Any discussion? All right, motion by Tina and second by Jess to approve the reduction of 1 administrative assistant position. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, maintain our facilities to be welcoming, safe, and efficient for use by students and the community. Do I have a motion to approve the acceptance of the MDH led remediation in schools and child care centers grant in the amount of $17,500 to replace 5 water bottle filling stations at the Falls High School?
Motion by Rox.
I'll second.
Motion by Rox and second by Tina. Any discussion? All right, motion by Rox, second by Tina to approve the acceptance of the MDH led remediation in schools and child care centers grant in the amount of $17,500 to replace 5 water bottle filling stations at the Falls High School. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm requesting a motion to enter closed session.
A motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I move that the board close the meeting pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.05 subdivision 2B for the preliminary consideration of allegations or charges against a district employee and pursuant to statute 13D.05 subdivision 3B for attorney-client privilege discussion regarding a potential settlement agreement.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Motion by Jessica and second by Rox. to close the meeting pursuant to statute section 13D.05 subdivision 2B, closed section preliminary consideration of allegations or charges against a district employee and or pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3B, closed session attorney-client privileged discussion regarding potential settlement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will now be in closed session.
So one of the things that will happen now is, Casey, you can take down your items, and we're going to close the session. I think as a board, we can go into the conference room now. That way, Casey, and then we can come back out without the microphone.